Hello everyone, welcome to CivilPrep. I am Krishna Gupta. This is a session on biogeography, that is part 1, okay, where we will be looking certain case studies of geography optional. Now, this is an important session where we'll be looking at certain PYQs and we will be linking the case studies with the PYQs which have been in the recent news. So, for example, the first case here we have of the direwolf, which you might have heard about, that one of the wolf species which was living in the region of America, that is North America, it has been cloned. Okay, so it has been de-extincted. Okay, it has come out of the extinction. The name of the scientific of the name of the species is Anicocyon dirus. Okay, so we will be looking at certain PYQs here which is linked to this case study, that is suggests the measures for wildlife conservation with reference to the extinction of rare species. Okay, so how the wildlife conservation can be interlinked with the extinction of rare species. Next question is, why is it necessary to conserve genetic diversity of species? Okay, so here we can link it with the genetic diversity of the dire wolf, which we have found in the previous the part. Okay, it is almost around 12,000 years to 50,000 years. Okay, the fossils have been retrieved, through which we were able to retrieve that particular extinct species. Then next part is gene pool centers are good hope for biodiversity conservation. Elucidate. Okay. Now this direwolf, it is also becoming as a part of the gene pool. Okay, gene pool of the Northern America. Okay. Next question here is define zoogeographic region. Also describe the basic faunal makeup of Neo-Arctic zoogeographic region. When we talk specifically about the Neo-Arctic region, the Neo-Arctic region, it consists of North America, then Greenland, and certain regions of Northern Europe. Okay, so this is the part of the Neo-Arctic zoogeographic region. Okay, so we can see that this case, it is interlinked with 1, 2, 3, and 4 questions of biogeography. Now, let's dive into the next part here. The species overview, the direwolf. Okay, this is one of the apex predator. Apex predator is, it is a keystone species. Okay, there are various trophic levels, and this apex predator, it sits on the top of the trophic level. And it is compared with cheetah, lion, elephant, vultures, which are the apex predators. So this was found in the Pleistocene North America, extinct 12,500 years ago. So here we can see that it is part of the Neo-Arctic region. Okay, this is part of the Neo-Arctic region. And this Neo-Arctic region, here will be seeing that this zonation, it is majorly done by Wallace Newbegin. Okay, they have done this classification here. Now, not a direct ancestor of grey wolves, okay, which have diverged around 6 million years ago. We can understand this part through a diagram here. So here we see the evolution of dire wolf, okay, wolf and dire wolf. So almost around 34 million years ago, the ancestor of this species was Leptocyan. Okay, this is the Leptocyan, which is the ancestor of this species. Then almost around 5.7 million years ago, the formation of the or the evolution of direwolf has taken place. After this, almost around 3,000, 300,000 BC, the the cave wolf have evolved, which evolved in the region of Eurasia. Then after this, we'll be seeing that almost around 200,000 years ago to present day, there was modern grey wolf. Now, this is a very important species which is found in the current time in the region of North America, which is the grey wolf. Okay, and now the new direwolf, which is genetically cloned, is seen here. This is the new direwolf. Okay, so this is the clone species, that is the direwolf, which is found now. Moving back to the previous part, now de-extinction initiative, which we are talking about, this is one of the initiative which is possibilistic, and it is also linked to the scientific determinism. Now, it is led by the Colossal Biosciences, a US-based biotech firm which used ancient DNA from almost around 13,000 to 72,000 years old fossils. The technology which is used here, it is CRISPR-Cas9, gene editing and cloning. So this is the technology which is used here, which was used to modify the grey wolf embryos with 20 edits across 14 genes, okay, because of which it was possible to change the genes of the mother embryo and through which the new calves have been born, okay. Here we'll be seeing that the three hybrid pups, that is Romulus, Remus and Khaleesi, they are born with the dire wolf trait. So this is one of the achievement which is done, which is seen in the contemporary time. Okay, so we can see here, this is the genetically cloned direwolf. Now, when we look at certain theoretical aspect, there is synthetic biology that is redesigning the life using genetic tools. Then functional de-extinction, this is an important theory here, which is creating ecological proxies and not the exact replicas of the extinct species. Further, the species concept debate, that is raising the question about what defines a species, genes, functions, or evolutionary lineages. So this is an important part where we see that the evolution of the species, which is going through the various adaptive mechanism, and what is defining the traits, genes, functions, and how a species is defined. This is a concept of debate here. Now, there is certain ethical issues also with respect to risk of ecological mismatch, welfare concerns, and legal ambiguity in species classification. For example, now we can see here the formation of a new species which has taken place, and this is linked to the direwolf which is present here. Okay. Now, in between this, there were development of two more species. Okay, but these species which is present now, how it is adapting to the current scenario, what were the living conditions at that time, what were the environmental conditions, what were the physiological conditions, so it is still very much unknown to us right now. Okay, now this is raising us a ecological mismatch here. Now, conservation potential. It sparks debate on rewilding and climate adapted species engineering now. Okay, so a species which is living in the contemporary time, that is a glaciation and deglaciation period. And we have brought a species which was majorly living in the glaciation period. So this is a question of concern whether climate adapted species engineering is required or not. Okay. So guys, this was the first part, the first we can say case study. Now moving to the next case study, we have the phylogeography and niche breed of Mexican oak. Now Mexican oak will be seeing that this is one of the endemic species or flora, which is found majorly in neotropical region, which is generally distinguished by Alfred Wallace. Okay, now the question is the types of endemic plants and degree of vulnerability to extinction. This is an important question here, which is raising the concern for endemic plants. Second question is short note on floristic kingdoms. Okay, there are various kingdoms, for example, Ethiopian real, then we have Neotropical real, then we have Neo-Arctic real, we have Indo-Malayan real or Oriental real, then we have Notogean real. Okay, so Palearctic real. So we have various realms which are present in the as per the distribution of Alfred Wallace. Okay, so here the note is being asked on the floristic regions based on their global distribution. So this Mexican oak, which is currently being in news, okay, this fits into both the questions which were asked in PYQs in 2013 and 2010. So let's dive here and let's look at what was the question. So here it is saying that the endemic oaks of Mexican Sierra Madre and Trans-Mexican volcanic belt, this is found here in this two particular region. When we see this from the biogeographical context, the Mexico is a global oak biodiversity hotspot, which is shaped by Pleistocene climate shift, elevational gradients, and the tectonic complexity also. So we will see that the major development of the flora, it has been through the various succession of the species, the movement of tectonic plates. For example, initially the South African plate, it was part of Gondwana land, present in the southern part of the southern hemisphere. Then it moved away and it started to move northward. Okay, now we see that it is majorly present in the equatorial to tropical region, equatorial to tropical to subtropical region. So there has been climatic shift, elevational gradients, okay, with the formation of Andes mountain. Then there is tectonic complexity also. Next, we see that, okay, with respect to key findings, here the Q letter complex, it is polyphyletic with six lineages showing distinct climatic niches with ancient introgression. Okay, so what it says here that this is a polyphyletic species. Polyphyletic means a species which is showing different characteristics, varied characteristics with respect to varied climatic regions, varied environmental changes, varied biomes. Okay. Now, the post-glacial range expansions and long distance dispersal. Long distance dispersal, it is majorly taking place because of tectonic shifts. Shared genetic structure in the Q. raceonia and Q. magnolifolia. Okay. Now, the methods which are used for the identification of the species, that is nuclear and chloroplast DNA markers, approximate Bayesian computation, and ecological niche modeling, which have been used here for the marking of this species. So here we see that this is one of the Mexican oak. Okay, here we can see that this is one of the Mexican oak, and we can just turn it around and we can see that how this species has been formed. Okay, what is the nature of the species, how the branches, how the leaves of the species are. Okay, we can look at these factors also here. So through this 3D model, we are able to see this species in a very realistic way. Okay, it helps us to realize the species and how this species particularly looks like. Okay, so this is the Mexican oak. Moving forward, here we see that the phylogeography and the niche breed of the Mexican oak. So here the niche breed, it is giving us two insights. Number one, that is narrow niche species, and number two, that is broad niche oaks here. So narrow niche species, it says that how fragmented distribution and lower effective population sizes are occurring here, while the broad niche oaks, maintain higher genetic diversity and greater connectivity across the landscapes. So this is a basic difference between the narrow niche species and the broad niche species. Certain theoretical parts here we can see, that is the phylogeography, which is linking the genetic lineages to the spatial history. Okay. Then niche breadth hypothesis, giving us wider niche buffer against the demographic bottlenecks. Then refugia theory. This is important theory which is needed, which is quite important for us to take note on. The Pleistocene refugia shaped oak diversity and endemism here. So this is one of the old species which was found in the Pleistocene era, which shaped the current oak diversity in the region of uh, neotropical region. Then hybridization and Singaman concept, where the oaks from gene sharing networks complicating species boundaries have also been seen here. So this part here we see that this is an important part of the phylogeography where we are looking at the genes and their lineages across the spatial distribution. Okay, so this was the second case. Moving to the next case, we have the climate and biotic drivers of range limits in neotropical orchids. Okay, neotropical, which we have already discussed before. Okay, here one of the questions is asked here. The amensilism is a biotic factor that determines the geographic limit of species. Explain. This question is very important, asked in the year of 2019. Here also we are looking at the climate and biotic drivers of range limits in a neotropical orchid. Okay, so here we can see a limiting factor. The limiting factor, it was given by the Liebig. Okay, Liebig has given the limiting factor, the law of limiting factor, which helps us to understand that any kind of nutrient, food, water, sunlight, it can act as a limiting factor. So it can be water, air, food, sunlight, it can be land also. Okay, so they can act as a limiting factor here. Now, the second part here of the question is the second question, which was asked in 1996, man and the Amazon rainforest. So here, Amazon rainforest, it is also forming the part of the neotropical region. So this is also connecting with the neotropical orchid, and the limiting factor, we can connect it here with the range limits in the neotropical orchid. Okay, so we have got two questions here from the PYQ. Jumping into the case study here, this orchid, that is the sand dune orchid, it is endemic to the Atlantic forest and Pampas grassland in Brazil. Okay, this is majorly the region in the neotropical region, which is forming as the edge and certain part of the interior part of the Amazon biome. Now, the hypothesis which tested here, that is the center periphery hypothesis, which predicts species abundance and fitness decline from core to periphery due to the ecological marginality. For example, this is the core region, and as we go to the marginal area, here we have a region which is an edge region. This is an edge. So any species, it will be quite abundant here in the core region, while it will decline in the marginal region. But at edge, the species will almost decline, and here we'll be finding new species, okay, which is not found in the core and the marginal area here. Now, methodology here will be seeing that is niche modeling, that is climate and pollinator data. geospatial analysis and distribution, genetic metrics linked to the range and niche distance, regression modeling, that is polynomial and linear, has been used for the construction of methodology here or the model here. Then key environmental drivers here. First is low latitude edge and second is high latitude edge. So when we talk about the low latitude and high latitude edge, here we have Earth, this is equator. So here we'll be saying that this is a low latitude region and the polar region, it is a high latitude region. So here we see that the majority of the species which is found in the near the equatorial region, here the species richness it is high. While when we move to the polar areas, okay, or the high latitudes, here we'll be seeing that the species richness, because of the cold climate, less precipitation, low availability of water, harsh climatic conditions, okay, that is the snowfall, it results into just 3 to 4 months where any kind of the availability of land is happening, due to which these neotropical orchid they can grow in that particular region. So this is acting as a limiting factor here. Okay, the harsh climate, water availability, sunlight. Okay, all these factors they are acting as a limiting factor. Therefore, here the species richness will be quite low. So same thing is provided here. The enhanced habitat suitability due to high pollinator richness. Okay, so here we can see that it is high in this region. While at the low latitude edge, it is limited by precipitation variability and climatic constraints. So here we can see that the species richness here it is quite low. Now, here we see that this is the neotropical region where we see that this species of the orchid they are found in this particular region. Okay, they are found in this particular region, which is forming the part of certain part of Amazon biome, Brazil region, Argentina, and Chile also. Okay, now there are other, we can see here other regions also, that is Nearctic, Palearctic, Mediterranean. Then here we have Ethiopian, then Oriental, Indomalaya, basically Madagascar, Australian, or we can also call it as the Notogeum, okay, consisting part of Australia, New Zealand, and the other islets in the particular region there. Okay, moving forward. So here what we see that there are certain biotic and abiotic limits which is identified. In the low latitude margins, it is shaped by the biotic interaction, that is the pollinators. Okay, pollinators will be seeing that it is the bee, bird, okay, there can be insects, rats, burrows. So those are the biotic interaction. While at the high latitude margins, it is restricted by abiotic stressors. Okay, for example, cold climate, non-availability of water, less availability of sunlight. Then we can also see the availability of food. It is also quite low. Then availability of land, that is soil for the growth season. So this is quite low here. When we look at the genetic trends, genetic diversity decreases at range margins. Genetic differentiation increases towards the edges and stronger at the low latitude edges. As we can see in this diagram here, okay, it clearly explains that how there will be limitations will be seen in the low latitude regions and the high latitude regions. Now, certain conceptual links which can be identified, that is center periphery hypothesis, which we have discussed, niche theory, which specifies species realize niche contracts towards environmental or geographic stress. Wherever the stress will be high, so here we'll be seeing that the species presence will decline. Then Rapport's rule, which specifies and highlights the latitudinal variation in range in size and specialization. This is a very important rule. You should note this rule and you should mark this rule every time you are writing an answer of biogeography. Okay. Then biotic abiotic interaction theory. Both sets of factors co-limit distribution along the gradients here. Then certain conservation insights with respect to pollinator conservation at low latitudes is needed because it is the major part which is helping in the biotic interaction. Climatic buffering strategies at the high latitude margins, because here we can see the harsh climate, it is acting as a limiting factor. And protect genetic variability to improve the resilience under the climate shift. It is also quite important because we are undergoing a phase of Anthropocene, that is climate change because of human factors. So this is one of the case, okay, which we can understand quite well, and we can apply the various theories and models here with respect to regional aspect. Now, moving to the next case here, that is the soil erosion in India. Now, we have seen certain questions which have been asked in the previous papers. Soil erosion is a creeping debt. Explain the statement and suggest various soil conservation measures. Very important question asked in 2024. Then soil erosion and soil degradation are threats to the food supply. Very important question. Soil is interlinked with the food security. A question on the paper two, here will be saying, write about the spatial pattern of soil erosion in India. Very important from the paper two. This is a case study which can be used in paper one as well as paper two. Okay. Justify the inclusion of Meghalaya in peninsular India and discuss its vegetation and soil types. Okay. So in this case, we'll be looking at certain soil types which can be applied in the Meghalaya region. Okay. And how these soils have been formed in those particular region, we can understand along with the climatic factors. So let's look at the case. Now, soil erosion, we have certain reasons to explain here first. So in India, we'll be seeing that the soil erosion, it is majorly taking place because of droughts, which is degrading soil. And here, the wind erosion, it is quite dominant. Then there is floods, where we'll be seeing that it is also resulting into the degradation of soil, where the water erosion or river erosion, it is dominant. Okay, there are certain other factors with respect to landslide, soil creep. Then we have weathering, okay, erosion because of glacial factors, erosion because of coastal factors, okay, waves, tides, currents. Then we have certain factors with respect to anthropogenic factors, okay, which is ascribed here. So here we can see the anthropogenic causes deforestation in Assam, Odisha, and Himalayan states. Then unsustainable agricultural practices, intensive tilling, and monocropping. Okay, this is a very important factor. Infrastructure development on ecologically fragile slopes. Okay, this is also quite important. So here we can see that the Joshimat region, which is currently seeing a soil creeping and land subsidence. Then certain natural causes are also there with respect to high rainfall intensity in northeastern India, increases surface runoff. Then seismic instability and landslides in Himalayan foothills, sloping terrain and loose morainic slow soils prone to the erosion part. Okay, so this is also quite important here. Then here we'll be seeing the terrain of the northeast region. So here we have Garu Khasi Jayantiya. Okay, here we have Dafla, Miri, Abur, Mishmi. Okay, then here we have Barrel ranges. Okay, this is Barrel ranges here. Then we have Naga Hills, Mizo Hills in this region. Okay, so here we see that the majority of the soil degradation, it is taking place in the plain region of Assam, Meghalaya, and northeastern part of India. Okay, so here this is also region where we see that a very high soil degradation is taking place here. Now, what are the reasons we have seen? Now, let's look at certain key findings here. The key findings, it is based on the geospatial modeling and mapping of soil erosion in India. 30% of India's land is under minor erosion. The 3% under the catastrophic erosion. Catastrophic erosion, it is interlinked with droughts, but majorly it is linked with the floods. Okay, floods, they act as a catastrophic nature because we do not know that when floods will occur and when it will result into erosion. So this catastrophic erosion at a single erosion part, it results into more than 100 tons per hectare per year. In this part, Assam has lost nearly 300 square kilometers of topsoil. That is 31% is classified as the catastrophic part. So nearly we can see here 100 square kilometer of soil has been eroded just because of the catastrophic causes. Then 9 out of 20 erosion prone districts are in Assam. National average of soil loss, it is 21 tons per hectare per year. Now the tool which is used to assess this soil erosion in India, that is Russell. Russell is standing for Revised Universal Soil Loss Equation. You need to have this as a tool. You have to write this in exam when the question is asked on the soil with respect to India. It integrates rainfall, soil erodibility, soil slope length, steepness, crop management, and conservation practices factors. Okay, this is very important. Okay, you have to write this in exam if a question arises from the soil and soil erosion. Then analysis of this part will be seen. The hotspot of the soil erosion, that is Brahmaputra Valley in Assam, lower Himalayas in the region of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand. Certain parts of Odisha and northern Andhra Pradesh is also affected here. Consequences of soil erosion, long-term fertility loss, declining crop yields. Okay, this is seen in the contemporary time. Damage to the forest ecosystem and biodiversity. This is a cascading effect. Then compromised slope stability and heightened flood drought susceptibility. This is resulting into landslides and other disasters. Thus, policy relevance here will be seen. The urgent need for the watershed-based planning is needed, afforestation drives is needed, and region-specific soil conservation practices is very much needed, which is bringing us to a part of bottom-up approach in the planning region. Okay, so this topic here will be saying that we have certain soils which is present in the northeastern part of India, also in the other regions of India. For example, alpha soils, if we first take the USDA soil taxonomy or USDA classification. So alpha soils, they are fertile, moderately weathered, seen in certain parts of central India. Okay, these alpha soils will be seen that they are uh, formed because of the volcanic eruption. Then altisols, these are, we can see that they are quite highly weathered. The ultimate soil or the last stage of soil is there, which have taken place a very large duration of time to form. It is highly weathered, acidic in nature, common in the northeastern states, including the region of Assam. Inceptisols and entisols, they are the newly formed soils. Thus, weakly developed soils because they are newly formed, widespread in the Himalayan foothills, river valleys, and highly prone to the erosion part. Then marbut zonal classification. This is also an important classification for geography optional UPSC examination for biogeography. First is pedal first, where there is Al and Fe. The humid areas will be there, and the presence of iron and aluminum accumulation will be very high, highly found in the eastern Himalayas and also Meghalaya Peninsula. Then pedicels, dry regions with calcium carbonate deposits, majorly found in the western Rajasthan. Azonal soils are, for example, alluvial soil, which is formed out of the deposition of the sediments from the river Ganga. So, because of the deposition of sediments, the profile of this alluvial soil, it is not intact. Okay, there is a single layer of the soil is present from top to bottom. So, this is one of the soil which is having no zone. Therefore, it is called as azonal soil. They are young, unconsolidated soil in the floodplain region of Brahmaputra Valley, also in the Ganga plains. Then intrazonal soil, which is present in between the zonal soil and the zonal soil. For example, local factors like poor drainage results into the formation of bog soil or marshy soil. For example, peat in the northeastern swamp region. So here we can interlink this part here. Okay, we can interlink this part with the question which we have just discussed. Okay, inclusion of Meghalayan Peninsular part in India and discuss its vegetation and soil types. So this is another question: spatial pattern of soil erosion in India. So for this case study, we can add certain concepts. We can add a lot of things, which is quite important from the perspective of geography optional. So guys, this is one of the important case study as you can see. So we are also having very congratulations to the aspirants who have reached this end here. Okay, so students who are appearing for mains 2025 or 2026. So for 2025 we have live answer writing discussion session which is taking place daily. Okay, here we are having website link and we also have phone number. So through this, you can contact me, and I will add you to a Telegram group, or I will provide the link to of the Telegram group in the description. You can join the Telegram group, and you will there you will be providing the link for the answer writing live answer writing session. Okay, you can also look at certain lectures which are uploaded in the YouTube. Okay, you can see the lectures and you can see that how we are practicing answer writing, which is helping us to make our answers better. If you are preparing for mains 2026, so this answer writing practice and this case studies, it will help you to be mains ready before prelims 2026. Okay, so you will be mains ready before prelims 2026. So guys, this is a very good initiative which will help you to be very right in your approach. Okay, it will give you a very good path for your UPSC preparation. So guys, all the best, take care and see you in the next class.